Paul, wir gucken 31 times Mojang tried to prank Microflares. Mojang hat uns geprankt.
Did you know you can feed mobs until they explode? And these are 31 joke features that Mojang added to Minecraft. But first, the YouTube security guard bets me that no one can subscribe to the channel.
Abonnieren.
Not a ton. Bedrock is finally breakable in survival. At least it was in this update. And if you were to take the time and get yourself to Haste 2 effect, you'd find that after 10.5
War das nicht in der Edition?
It's possible to break this with your empty hands. Which is basically the way you have to do it because...
Was war das gleich nochmal für eine Version? War das nicht die dieses Jahr April-Ding?
Also in this update, you're not able to pick up any tools. Don't go near this chicken, because as of the 2.0 update, chickens were a neutral mob, and they would even attack the player if they started to look at them, almost like an Enderman would. But even if that was the case, the chicken still seems like a pretty easy mob to deal with, so what's the problem? Well, the issue is that, much like Zelda, these could spawn reinforcements to come after you, which is simultaneously horrifying and hilarious. If you were somehow able to beat the one block at a time update, you'd find out that after breaking all the end crystals in the game, or by resummoning the dragon, you'd be able to ride the boss just by punching it, which was capable of letting us do some pretty wild things over here in the overworld. Which is good, because normally when you ride a dragon in the overworld, it doesn't do much.
Das wäre so cool, wenn das normal geht.
And if you were to ride the Ender Dragon down into the void, you'd find that in this update, it's a lot more forgiving. Now, it teleports the player right up to build limit in the overworld, which is still gonna be hard to clutch.
Hä, wie cool.
But you have a much higher chance of surviving if you're not instantly deleted in the Black Abyss. Do not fish in this update, because odd as it may seem, fishing in the Java Edition 20W14 Infinite would cause you to get
Digga, WTF, stell dir vor, du angelst so einen Elder Guardian.
An Elder Guardian instead of the regular fish. And as you can tell from this user's post, that's definitely a rude awakening. In the Love update, you can no longer trade with villagers. But that doesn't mean they won't take
Warum haben die diese Sachen eingefügt? Einfach so zum Pranken oder was?
Your stuff. Since now, if you attempted to trade with a villager, it would then take the items and give you back a piece of paper that would thank you for your donation. And while that seems greedy, I'll remind you that charity is a good thing, which must also be why villagers would pick up any item or block that they found on the floor, which I think takes Lost and Found a bit too seriously. Did you know that you could ride a ghast? Well, kind of. Since in 2015, Mojang made it in such a way where you could get on a ghast, but you couldn't control it. And the same can be said about pigs, since there was no more carrot on a stick, so you couldn't choose where the pig wanted.
Ich weiß so viele Sachen nicht. Zum Beispiel ich habe von den ganzen Sachen hier noch nie was gehört, außer von dem Ender Dragon reiten Ding, weil das ja jetzt relativ vor kurzem war, das Update.
Which is a bummer, but it turns out that without it, they're able to climb walls now, giving us the kind of spider pig that even Homer Simpson can appreciate. And if all that already sounded crazy enough, you haven't seen anything until you get on a horse. Or rather, a horse gets on you, since now the horses ride you instead. And I think this visual speaks
Sag mal ehrlich, warum fügen die sowas hinzu? Sind die dumm?
Making your boats out of wood, but instead, make them out of obsidian. No joke, since Mojang thought wood was too fragile, they added in this new Obsidian Boat instead, which now has the capabilities to withstand anything that comes in its way.
Das habe ich noch nie gesehen. Warum kenne ich das nicht?
The best. The price you pay for safety, I guess. In this version, furnaces were completely unstable, and after too long of smelting, they could eventually explode and release all of their items like that. And this would usually happen after smelting anywhere from 3 to 7 items in the furnace.
Okay,
it would be a guaranteed detonation if you used a piece of coal. So
stell dir vor, du brätst irgendwas in deiner Base und das ganze Haus explodiert.
For some cleaner energy. As is, lava would have been too dangerous for the Love and Hugs update, which is why everything you see around you has been changed from lava into liquid cheese. And don't worry, even though this cheese is molten, it's no longer gonna hurt any mobs or players in it. But it is still hot enough to burn your items and be used as a fuel for your furnace, which might be the most useful joke feature that Mojang's ever added in. This is a dropper block, and this is the flopper block. Since in this update, droppers were replaced with the much more popular flopper block with an insanely useful feature where
Warum machen die das?
That you put in them would just come out as raw fish. We don't have this in the base game. I have no clue. It seems like it's a really useful tool. With Soul Sand and Wither Skulls, we can get a Wither. And with Pink Wool and a Flower Pot, we can get a Friendly Wither. Now, don't worry, even
Das könnt ihr mir nicht erzählen, dass das normal in Minecraft war. Das ist safe eine Mod oder so. Niemals.
No, this is classified as a hostile mob. It's not going to be hostile towards any other mob.
Das ist safe eine Mod oder so. Das ist doch nicht normal in Minecraft gewesen. Doch. Das Ding. Habt ihr gespielt?
It has the ability to bone meal all surrounding blocks. And plus, come on, why would you want to kill something this cute? Mojang was sick of squids being a useless mob, so they fixed that. And now the squid has the ability to fly around through the air, which is interesting interesting, but it begs the question, does it make them any less useless?
Die
No,
dumm.
frankly, it just makes them harder to kill. But at least this means Mojang hasn't forgotten about them.
Ja,
If we
vielleicht
shoot
uns
this
nicht weiß.
barrel, nothing happens. But if we shoot an exploding barrel, I think you get the point. But that's not the only thing
Oh,
that'll
so ein Exploding Barrel, so ein Schwarzpulverfass in Minecraft wäre ehrlich cool, oder nicht?
set them off, because if you were to empty this
Digga, was ist
barrel
das für
and
eine
leave nothing
Version?
remaining inside, then it can also explode. But even with
Was
that hassle,
spielt
you
der
still
da?
want to check inside these, because naturally spawning
Einfach
barrels
Survival
may
Games
even contain a
Version.
crossbow named the BFC 9000. And this could have the multi-shot enchantment anywhere from level 1 to level 12, which alone would be insane, let alone the various armors and weapons that you can get inside as well. With the Java Edition Infinite Snapshot, we get a new biome type added in. And the whole point of this biome is efficiency, since inside, you're no longer going to find ores to mine, but rather they'll all just be replaced with veins of redstone components, which is a bummer if you
Warum?
want diamonds, but probably pretty good if you're mumbo jumbo. If you press the B key on your keyboard, Mojang added in a simple feature called boss mode, which sounds exciting, but actually what it would do is just pop up a screen of a Microsoft DOS workstation, and that way it could hide your screen in game in case the boss was nearby and you needed to hide that you were gaming. Pretty sneaky. I'll have to
Ach
look
so! Der ist das dumm.
out for this in the office. Do not wear this in
Einfach in der Schule, wenn du zockst, einfach B drücken und dann kommt der Screen.
Minecraft. Since if you put on the trendy updates ankle monitor, this police monitoring device would stay worn on your boot slot. And if you're in survival, there's no luck at getting this
Einfach Fußfessel.
off. Which is a shame, because while you're wearing it, it would apply the slowness 1 effect. And it would even start to
Digga,
display
ich kann mir nicht vorstellen, dass da wirklich extra Updates kamen für diese Version. Ich check das nicht.
several messages if you got a certain amount of blocks away from spawn. Or special messages like
You are violating your house arrest, Digga. Digga, du hast legit eine Fußfessel.
this if you got into the end or the nether. And really, when you start making the cursive binding look like a cakewalk, I think this feature's pretty bad. If you were to type in the cheat code nerd, using all 4 E's, then the game could spawn in this rather dashing creeper, which
Digga,
is to
was
say
ist
just a
das
regular
denn?
creeper that's wearing a lab coat and glasses.
Was ist
And if you were to
das
kill
denn?
one of these new scientist creepers, it'll drop the 3D food item that when you interact with it, pops up a picture of the Mojang development team, making it a fun
Hä? Digga, die haben einfach reingepatcht den Creeper mit Professoranzug. Wenn du den killst und dieses 3D-Item ist, spawnt einfach dieses Bild. Was ist das für eine Scheiße?
Easter egg. Instead of a helmet, try on these
Wer kommt
new
da drauf?
reality vision goggles. Since with these HoloLenses, you can put them on as you'd expect and get a new overlay to your player vision.
Wow.
And while wearing these, you would see a built-in mini-map that would fully render the surrounding area.
Boah, das ist aber cool.
And it could even keep track of your position while you're walking around the currently rendered chunks.
Digga,
Which
oha.
sounds useful, but you might want to take these off before you try to read any sign. Since while wearing these, any text on the sign would just be replaced with the word obey. And that's totally not terrifying. In the 2.0 update, it was possible for blocks and mobs to have speech bubbles over their head, which is an odd feature for sure, but I think it's kind of hilarious that the world wants to talk it out. Though nowadays, if this were added in, we could probably just report the chat from the Ender Dragon and get it permanently banned to beat the game.
Digga, einfach
Sounds
Ender
like
Drache
speedrun
bannen.
to me. This here's the love meter. And don't worry about starving to death, because in the Love and Hugs update of 2015,
What?
Mojang removed the health bar and the hunger bar as well. And the way that you would fill up this meter is whenever the player came in contact with a mob. And that
What?
way, instead of hitting the zombie, the two of you hug it out and the meter increases.
Keep happy.
Which if you finally increase the love meter all the way up to 8
Ja,
lines
okay,
of
chill
hearts,
doch.
what you would unlock was a hidden mini game called Minesweeper,
Oha.
a clone of the Microsoft-made Minesweeper, which seems like nothing more than a gag.
Aber warum? Ich check das nicht. Warum sollen die sowas adden?
But if you beat
Hallo,
the
Arthur.
mini-game, it would take you to the game's credits, and afterwards bring you right back to Minecraft. Making for the weirdest way to beat the game for
Das
sure.
ist
Before
cool,
you head to
aber
the Nether,
warum?
write out a written book and toss it through first.
Das
Since
kenn ich
that'll
schon.
create this new funky portal.
Und das
This
finde ich auch
feature,
cool.
being part
Das
of
finde
the
ich krass
Infinite
hier.
Minecraft update allowed players to create portals leading to
Das ist
2
so
billion
krass
new
irgendwie.
dimensions per seed. Which sounds like a gimmick, but if you go through, you can actually find some really cool portals through this. And I'm kind of disappointed that those
Guck mal, was
biomes
ist das,
don't exist
Alter?
in the game. Even if it means you have to sift through a bunch of them that just look hideous. Did you know that you can craft netherite into stairs? Well, sure enough, if you go into the missing dimension of the infinite snapshot, you'll find this secret item hanging around. And this very
Hey, das
item
geht
will
ja
have a
echt.
special
Swaggiest there as ever.
name, the swaggiest stairs ever. Which
Digga,
I'm inclined to
hä?
agree. And really, it just
Wie
goes
krass.
to show that while building a netherite beacon
Hey, es gibt einfach Netherite-Treppen in Minecraft. Nur halt in einer bestimmten Version, aber die gibt's.
is a flex,
Wie krass.
having a staircase out of these is a whole other level. As of 2022, there's no longer an inventory in Minecraft. Or at least, that was the case in the 1 block at a time update. And now, instead of having to worry about inventory management, all of your blocks and items were turned into physical things.
Ach, stimmt,
that
da
you
hat man
could
immer nur
interact
einen
the
Block
world.
in der Hand haben
And that, of
können,
course,
ne?
meant that we could only pick up 2 item slots at a time, one for each one of our hands. But blocks weren't the only thing that we could pick
GG.
up. Since if you got up close to a mob, you could also carry one
Aber
of
das
these
Update habe
around
ich
as
gar nicht
well.
gespielt,
In
aber ich
fact,
weiß nicht
just
warum.
about all entities in the game could be picked up, whether there was friendly, neutral, or even hostile. And you could find that even different mobs would have special abilities depending on which one you're holding, almost creating its
Du
own
kannst einfach mit
benefits
so
which one you
Biene
want to have on
fliegen.
hand.
Wie krass.
In the April Fool's 2.0 update, it was the case that if you were to overfeed your pigs, cows, or sheep, they would continue to get fatter and fatter until eventually they would explode after
Die
their
fette
10th
Kuh sieht
time
aber
of
geil
eating.
aus.
Oh, and you could also feed this mob,
Was denn
but
das?
let me explain what that is. See, prior to 1.6, this update did actually give us horses, although they were just retextured pigs and cows. It's easy to see why they eventually went with Dr. Jark's model, because this would look ridiculous with horse armor. Here's how to walk in the ceiling in Minecraft. First, you're gonna pick up a pig, and then, when held, this will give you the ability to magnetically stick to the ceiling, which is definitely cool.
Ey, Minecraft ist so gestört teilweise.
The only downside is that when you're holding the pig, it's impossible to grab onto any more blocks to build with. But then again, it's a joke feature. It's not meant to be that useful. You've heard of hardcore mode, but what about super hostile mode?
Ich schwöre, Minecraft macht sich mehr Versionen so April Fools Versionen und solche Trolls. Okay, nee, die normalen Updates sind auch krass.
Actually a difficulty that Mojang made themselves. And in this, it would spawn several charged creepers, full armor zombie, and even skeletons around you just as soon as you took a chance by punching wood or crafting. And honestly, this sounds to me more like the custom game modes that Fundy makes than anything we'd ever see in the base game. But if you were able to play this version of the game and get to the end, that'd be more than impressive. And with that, folks, YouTube thinks that you might like this video. So see if they're right and have a good one.
Das war schon. Und das haben wir schon geguckt. Ey, das Like, Banger Video. Das war cool. Das war echt cool. Ich wusste gar nichts davon. Gar nichts. Krass.